So I'm going to start with you, Kipp. I just want sort of your general thoughts on this class for the Georgia Bulldogs. And when it comes to this first round, the guys you're really watching from Georgia.
Yeah, I think you look at Georgia over the last couple of years, everyone's going to point to that, them setting the record with 15 players taken in the draft. That is the modern era record for players from a program selected in a draft. And this obviously gives them an opportunity to tie, possibly break that. And it does all begin with the three guys that we think are going to go in the first round. Jalen Walker's been a consensus top 10 overall prospect for several months. And I think that, he's a unique player because he's 6'1", 240, not a guy that you can just say is purely an edge guy, but a guy that, you'd be not taking advantage of his skill set if you don't use him on the edge as well, with off-ball linebacker qualities too. And so I think it's more of are you going to be able to maximize his skill set, which is, kind of what Georgia was faced with when they had him, finally unlocking what he can do this past season and winning the Butkus Award. I think he does go top 10. He's been projected to the Carolina Panthers at 8 for months. I think that's a great fit for him. And I think that Michael Williams is the guy that it's kind of tough to know. There's been a lot of variance. I think he goes higher than a lot of people think. He's been projected around a top 20, an edge guy that physically measurables, reminds a lot of people of Travon Walker, been injured a lot, so it's tougher to get a good eval on him. I have him going to the Saints at number 9 right after Jalen Walker comes off the board. But we've seen projections anywhere in the mid-teens. 2021's probably the floor for him. And then Malachi Starks in the mix to be the number 1 overall safety selected. I think once you start getting into the teens, that's kind of where he could come off the board. Maybe the Dolphins at 13. I have him going to the Vikings at number 24. And I think that's kind of around where his floor is, simply because of the positional value. I think, if he's not the first safety taken off the board in the mid-teens, he could end up, getting into those 20s. That's kind of what I think happens. But again, I think that's still a pretty solid spot for him. He didn't have the season many thought he might be able to, just compared to just how he immediately made an impact at Georgia. But still a guy that can kind of do it all at the safety position, very athletic. So I still think, again, anytime you have a safety going in the first round, that means he's checked off a lot of boxes, because that's just not a position that people are drafting as high as, edge rushers, interior defensive linemen, and quarterbacks.